Hey, everybody, Dan Henry here, and welcome to the How to Think podcast, where we take a look at people who have overcome incredible odds to become successful, and we deep dive into how they think. We are here to level up our mental, mind, and money game so that we can make mind and money gains. So today we have Junior Anthony on with us. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Dan? How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Junior, you went. I'll introduce you because this is a pretty amazing story. You were homeless at one point.
Yes.
And now you have $1 million business. So I really want to deep dive into this. And I actually met you at a business conference. What was it, like a month ago? Something like that? Yeah, and we ran each other. You had so much freaking energy. It was like pouring out of your ears and out of your nose. It was all over the floor. I was slipping in it, and I thought, man, I got to get this guy on the show because that's an incredible story to go from, you know. And it was you were living in like an abandoned house.
I mean, that was the good time.
So tell me about that.
So what happened was basically I moved from being with one of my exes, and I needed to find some place. So I went to Long Island. I'm from New York, so I went to Long Island, started working this cab company, and then I needed a place to stay because I'm working in a cab, being smelly and stuff like that, not showering, going to the hotels and stuff. Like, you cannot survive like that. Right?
So you were a cab driver?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Well, I used to be in the construction industry, but then at that time, I can't do construction and be homeless. It doesn't work. So I found something like cabs where I could just literally sit in the car and kind of sleep in a couch. With
this is rough.
Hell yeah.
This is rough. Okay, so tell me, what was the first, and we'll get into, because I know that your company now, I mean, we have a lot to talk about because I know you started out learning on like how to do marketing, and you got some clients, and then eventually you started doing some consulting, and you've built up your company Live Satori to $1 million business. So this is a large journey. This is a large road that we need to cover here. So what was the first thing that started you on this journey? You know, you're in this abandoned house. You're there, and what was the first thing that happened that started to get you out of that situation?
Well, it was more so realizing that, hey, if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. So I was living with a bunch of people, I think like 4 or 5 people at that time, and I'm the only one doing something productive with myself and my time. So I just started like kind of observing, all right, if you don't do anything, if you don't take any action and you just stay in your situation, and it tends to get worse and people don't realize that. So with that observation, I was like, okay, I actually have to do something. Long story short, I took a trip to Florida. A few weeks after I was in Florida, I found out that the marshals came and took that house, and I'm like, oh shoot.
So that's like it's like chaos theory, right? Like everything without maintenance, eventually everything evolves into chaos.
Right.
And obviously it did, because they got in there and took that house.
Yeah.
So why did you go to Florida?
I went to Florida. I honestly, I don't even remember.
Just trying to get out of the situation.
Yeah, most likely that was the situation, or I think it was for Christmas or something like that, just to see my grandmother. My grandmother, I love that lady. She's the one who grew me up. I didn't have a mother or father growing up. Father was in jail, mother was in a different country. So it's grandma.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. My grandparents were, they raised me like almost, because my parents would work, so my grandparents were pretty much where I was every day.
Right.
You know, in my childhood.
So you understand.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say I understand living in an abandoned house, but I understand. I understand that. So yeah. So you went to Florida to see your grandma.
Right.
And what happened next?
Well, besides my cousin dying, that was like my sister. I ended up coming back to New York, staying with my father for a few, until he kicked me out for not having him pay my taxes, or having me in tax, whatever the tax thing is. I didn't let him claim for me.
Okay.
So he kicked me out of the house, and basically I had to start again. But at that time, you know, my grandmother actually died, came back to life, and that has shifted my life forever. That moment.
She like died on the table, or
no? She went to church.
She went to church
and died.
You got to fill in the blanks here for me, man. What does that mean?
It was so crazy. So she went to church, and then I guess they was doing the praising thing, and then all of a sudden she just passed out. No heartbeat, no anything. Called the ambulance. They couldn't find a heartbeat. They were trying to transport her, but she didn't have the insurance, or no one had the insurance paperwork, so they refused to take her. You know, she was resuscitated, but no one refused to take her. And then at that moment, I realized, holy cow, I could lose my grandma just like this. And if I don't have any funds, any finances, then
Right.
I can't do anything.
So you need to get your money right.
Yeah.
You need to get your money right. So you had this. It sounds like a rough journey because so your dad was in jail. He got out of jail at some point.
Yeah.
And then you were like 16 when you got kicked out?
17.
17?
Right.
Okay. And
okay, let me refresh. I got kicked out at 16 for a few. Kicked out 17 indefinitely.
okay. So this happened more than once. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, not cool, but yeah. So this is, I mean, so you, when you were trying to get your money right, would you say that maybe in the beginning, because here's the thing, I don't think a lot of people can understand what it's like to be in your position. People can get on social media and they can talk a bunch of crap and they can BS, but you know, and everybody has their own challenges. Everybody has their own thing, you know. To some people, breaking a nail is a bad day, right. You know. But most people would not understand living in an abandoned house with 4 or 5 other people. You know, it's very hard to understand that. And to even be able to get a job, to even be able to be a freaking assistant manager at McDonald's would be like a large win when you're in that situation. But to go to $1 million business, but I know that there were some missteps along the way. And at one point, I guess you were a musician.
Yeah, I love music.
What kind of music?
Much. So I used to rap actually. Super awesome. Used to go on stage, perform. Met the whole ASAP crew. Used to work with them as well, hosting events. Except I was still broke.
Well, hey, listen, I went to school for music, and I can tell you that 99% of musicians, and even popular musicians that I know, they're all broke. It is not a industry that pays very well unless you're like Justin Bieber or something, you know. Right. So I get that. So at some point you had reached out for some help with your music career, but that wasn't the help that you that wasn't the help that you got. So there's a whole lot. Tell me about this, because this is amazing. If you think that being homeless and living in an abandoned house and going to $1 million company is a lot, you even went further down the rabbit hole before this.
Oh yeah. So
tell me what happened with this guy that was going to help you, but you ended up doing something else instead.
So it's crazy. So I had my Uber. I used to do Uber as well. So I'm renting a car for like $450 a week.
Okay, and then doing the Uber and making a profit. That's an entrepreneurial.
I know.
Arbitrage. You know,
sleeping in the car. Yep. I didn't have to have a home.
Man, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right, but and this goes back to me learning that lesson, which of course I didn't learn because I'm human and I'm stubborn. Right, we all are. So you know, I'm working, and I'm seeing the money stacking up because I'm working for way longer than anyone else. So I'm making a lot of money, and I'm like, all right, cool. I keep working, and I'll be able to pay for this laptop. I get this laptop, I'll actually be able to make music on the go.
Okay.
Except I got a phone call one day.
Okay.
You see all this money we making over here in Albany? Yo, come down, help me out. I'll be the driver. Oh, I gotta stay here working. I gotta get a MacBook. I need a computer. Oh, what? I got a whole bunch of these in my basement. Just come and you pick one up and then just come stay here for a while. Oh, cool. I was basically there like in 2 days. Drove out to Albany. Turns out I started cooking crack.
Like crack cocaine.
like crack cocaine.
So you got there. So tell me how this went down. You got there,
Right.
and they promised you all these things.
So apparently he had some issues with his baby mama, and all the computers were over there.
Okay.
So we had to wait, or me had to wait until this whole court thing finished so that I can go over there.
Just to get a freaking laptop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, months passed. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months passed. And
No
still,
laptop, just crack, right?
yeah, literally. No laptops, just crack. So it was crazy because it didn't even start with me, actually cooking. It started with me just being the driver. And then over time, I realized police started like really messing with my shit. Like my cars, they'd pull the license plate.
So wait, did you even know what was going on at this point?
Yeah.
You did. Okay, all right. I was just making sure that you weren't like, why are the cops following me? And you didn't know that you had like a pound of crack in your trunk or something.
Well, actually, the pound of crack wasn't in his trunk. He'd actually just like up his butthole.
My God, these are some wow. These are some hardcore dudes.
Yeah.
Not even in the trunk, straight up the pooper, right?
Yeah, straight up the pooper.
Well, not a pound, man. If it was a pound, that guy.
He'd be that would probably hurt.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Some people are into that type of thing, But okay. So you started. So how did you go from driving to cooking? How did that happen?
Well, so the thing is that we wanted to get things done a little bit quicker, right? So let's just say he's doing something or he has other clientels elsewhere, then I'd probably be at the house just making sure everything is ready so they can pick it up and go.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. So when did this all did you have a moment where you wanted to get out of this or
yeah,
how did that go down?
Every effing day. And I just wanted my computer. That's all I came for.
This is a lot of work for a computer. Did you have Chromebooks back then?
I didn't want a Chromebook. I wanted a MacBook.
You wanted a MacBook. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can't really make music on a Chromebook. That would be extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. How messed up would it have been if you would have done all that work, got the MacBook, and then realized it couldn't run Pro Tools or whatever software that you had to use for the music?
Well, Dan, here's the irony. I never got the MacBook.
You never got the MacBook.
No.
You did all this driving around people with crack up their butt, and you never got.
I never got the MacBook. In fact, I just got fed up because we went on a run one day and this guy literally broke my rear view mirror. This army guy broke my rear view mirror by stretching to the front, and then I was like, bro, now I'm down $1,000 because I got to pay for this. And I don't have the money to pay the $1,000.
Right.
And it just went from bad to bad to bad to worse. And I was just like, you know what? I'm out.
So what was the moment? Was that the moment?
Well, the moment was I was sitting down because it was a few of my friends. One of them were going to jail within 3 weeks. The other one was waiting to be sentenced. So I was literally looking at the people that I was surrounded with, and those people kind of determine your future. So I looked and I was noticing, all right, I'm surrounding myself with these types of people. I could only have one outcome. So then I left. I went back by myself. Literally 2 days in New York trying to work. I can't even work daytime, like regular hours all day. I had to only work nighttime because I didn't have
But let's dive into that. So you're saying that you were hanging out with people, and this was your circle,
right?
This was your group of friends.
All my life,
and you noticed them start dropping like flies. Whether they go to jail, whether they get killed, whatever. You notice that in your circle, you're the average of your top 5 friends. So are you telling me that as you started seeing them drop like flies, you had a realization that at some point you were going to be next, and you didn't want to be next?
Yeah. Why would I? I felt like I've always had something big to live for, and just watching all the I'm looking up to these people, being younger, having ambitions to be like some of these people, and wow, they're human and they're making mistakes and they're actually going away for a long period of time. Like I've been to jail before, so it's just like I don't want that.
Right.
So.
Right. Wow. So what was your first step to get out of your situation?
Solitude. Literally solitude. When I went back to New York, I started working, and like I said, I didn't pay for that car because I was in Albany. So I was like a month behind on payments, and then the damage on top of that. So I went to see one of my friends, of course, you know, me being young, smoking weed and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, a repo truck comes, pulls up, takes my car, dumps all of my entire living on the floor.
Just on the street.
Yeah, and I had to figure it out.
Did you have a place to live at that point?
No.
So you've been like homeless multiple times.
Well, yeah. Well, so when I was in Albany, I was basically staying at his house because I didn't have a house.
Okay.
So that was also another selling point. Instead of me sleeping in my car in the streets, go to Albany, I can at least have a couch to sleep on.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely an upgrade from where you were.
Yeah.
So at this point, when they took all the stuff out of your car, no car, where did you just pick up your stuff? Where did you go?
This was a moment where I realized that friends is not helping me. No matter how much friends I have and all this other awesome things, they can't do anything for me, especially if they can't do anything for themselves. So I asked one of my friends, or I thought that he was my friend, to like lend me a bag so I can put some stuff in it and go. And, you know, he was on the phone with his girlfriend, like laughing, telling her about it. And I'm like, damn,
Jeez.
embarrassing. And then he brings me a plastic bag.
Thanks, man.
Well, you know, it would be better if it was a garbage bag, but it was like one of those plastic bags you get from a deli, like when you're picking up one of these.
Right.
I was just like, wow, I could have gotten that.
You could have got that yourself, yeah. Wow. Did he at least double bag it?
No, single bags.
Single bag.
Single bags.
Not even paper, huh?
Nah.
It's that crappy plastic they do these
Crappy
days.
plastic. It was bad because, you know, at that moment I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have any money, so it was just like, you know, I literally spent all night just walking and just thinking like, wow, this is my life, this is my life, this is my life. And I realized that at that point, like, I'm not going to change it until I choose to change it. No one's going to save me.
Do you think a lot of people do that? A lot of people, they're in a bad situation in life and a terrible, terrible situation in life, and they think that there's going to be some savior that comes along and helps them, and they just have to wait for that opportunity. They just have to wait for that door to open rather than kicking it open. They're just waiting for it. And they wait and they wait and they wait until
nothing. Yeah, I know lots of people that do that, you know, and I don't understand. I don't get it, you know, especially with my story. And I always say, hey, if you want something, just go and get it.
But you understand it at least a little bit because you did it for a long time. You allowed yourself to be in that situation for a long time, and then you made the decision.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to say you understand it a little bit because you were there, and then at some point you made a choice.
Well, honestly, and maybe this may be so not for this, but I did shrooms once. Can I talk about that experience?
Yeah, you can talk about whatever you want, man. There's no rules on this show. You can talk about whatever you want.
Awesome. So I was with the same girl, the same people at the abandoned house that I told you about before. So I had a friend. Her name is Kara. I love that girl so much. Shout out to Kara. So she literally would have me come over to her house, and she had mushrooms one day. She was like, "Hey, you want to try this?" And I'm
Like
like,
psilocybin mushrooms?
I don't know anything about anything.
Okay,
but
yeah,
it was the one
that's
that got
fancy,
you effed up.
Yeah, psilocybin. Right, got it.
Right. So I'm like, I don't know. It looks weird. I don't even eat mushrooms in my food. Like I just got tired and I threw away all the mushrooms. So I'm like, go. You know what? Why not? What do I have to lose? It was Labor Day. Popped them. Took like a gram, something small.
That's not small, but
Oh, it's not.
no, that's a full trip. So gram's a full trip.
Oh wow.
That's You didn't microdose. That's a full trip.
Well, I definitely did trip.
Yeah.
So I was sitting. They actually had stole like an ATM. I don't know how, but they actually stole an ATM. Had an ATM machine inside of the house, and I was I separated myself from everybody because they all tried mushrooms. I've never tried it, so I'm like seeing like these weird things happening, and I sat down on the ATM and I leaned back, and I thought about life, and I had like an epiphany, all right? And it's so weird. I wish I could draw it out for you, but I visualized life as an iceberg. Right, I call it like the iceberg effect. So life is like an iceberg, and You know, there's people on the top of this iceberg. There's people at the bottom of the iceberg. And then underneath the iceberg is the water, representing death. Go underneath the iceberg, you know, or on the bottom of the water, you die, right? You can't breathe.
Right.
But the craziest thing that I understood about this trip was, you know, you could only reach people that's within your situation or within your area or within your realm of understanding. I can't be at the bottom of the iceberg and be connected to someone on the top of the iceberg, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's how am I going to reach them? So then at that point in time, I realized, wow, I'm the only person that can actually help myself, because everyone else around me, they can't help themselves. So I'm looking for everyone that's around me to help me, but it's kind of impossible. But it's also, you know, the more that you advance, you go up, you realize that the people that were around you, if they're not growing vertically as you are, you're going to lose them.
Or they're going to drag you down.
Perfect. So it was just like a really different experience. It made me think completely different than how I used to think. And I definitely attribute like some of my growth to that. I've only done it once, by the way. I've never done it again. But
well, I think it's good that you say that, because, you know, I think a lot of times in the world, and especially the entrepreneur world, we get this sort of like default cookie cutter template of what it means to be successful. And, right. You know, if you grow up in a white picket fence house in a suburb, and, you know, you have a pretty stable life, and then, you know, you learn something, and maybe you had some hard times, and then whatever, and maybe you lost some money, this and that, and then you become successful. Like, yeah, that's a great success story. And you can attribute that to all kinds of things, like reading books or meeting some awesome person. But there's other people out there that have different experiences. They have experiences that go against the grain. They have experiences that aren't cookie cutter. They have experiences that make people uncomfortable, like things like coming from homelessness and drugs, and even having a epiphany on, psilocybin, which I would not put in the same category as like a crack. You know, I mean, even science and the medical community now are taking psilocybin, the mushrooms, and using them for therapeutic effects, using them to heal trauma, using them in psychotherapy. So, you know, when people say, "Oh, you know, you're taking drugs or whatever," they just don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, you can definitely, I personally know, especially in the entrepreneur world, a lot of people who have had mind-altering or mind-bending experiences that change their perspective, whether it be from a mind-altering drug like psilocybin, or from meditation, or from attending a retreat, or from a near-death experiences. It's not always this cookie-cutter thing where you read a book or you attend a conference and you meet somebody and you had a moment. Like, it can come from a lot of different areas of life that make people uncomfortable. So, you know.
Yeah, isn't Steve Jobs like LSD guy?
Oh yeah, dude. Let me tell you something right now. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I know a lot of people in the industry and a lot of big time entrepreneurs that they go out there on camera and they grab their little kid and they wave their kid in your face, and they say, "Oh, look at my kid, and look at my perfect family, and here's my JCPenney photo set, and here's all the things that I think will relate to you because you're my audience and you're my ideal customer, so I'm just gonna layer on all these things to make you like me. Here's my kid, here's my dog, here's my vacations, blah, blah, blah." But in reality, I know these guys. I'm not gonna name any of them, but I know these guys, and they do drugs, and they go to strip clubs, and they do things that they will never admit to. And I call bullshit, because, and I'm not saying all of them do it, you know, like I know plenty that are like that. They are very wholesome people, but right. You know, this whole idea that the only way you can become successful is you come from this like white picket fence universe or that's the only way, the only place that you can end up is bullshit. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It's bullshit. You have that, and then you have this thing called reality. And in reality, people can be successful from all walks of life. They can be successful no matter where they start, no matter where they were a flunked out Harvard student or they started homeless. Like there are people out there that, and they have different ways of doing things. I mean, I know a ton of people who literally will do certain types of drugs, or they'll trip on LSD once a quarter to get enlightenment. I mean, weird. I mean, I don't do that stuff. I'm too much of a pansy to do LSD, but you know, like you said, Steve Jobs and stuff. So I just think that when people try to put success in a box, and only because it makes them feel comfortable, that is dangerous, because it's called being closed-minded.
Right.
You know,
and you can't have success with closed-mindedness, by the way.
Yeah, well, you can't, especially when, you know, like you can act closed-minded and be open-minded and not admit that, but I've just never been one to put on a front, you know. And I think that more people out there who did not come from that traditional situation need to speak up and be like, listen, you know, I had moments that make you feel uncomfortable, but this was my moment. This was what I lived. This was how I experienced things, and this is what made a difference in my life, or this is what allowed me to think a different way, regardless if it makes you uncomfortable or not.
But like you said, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would want to do it, right? But like you said, the audience, they don't want to disappoint their audience.
Right.
So
that's why they stay away from politics. They stay away from whatever. And that's probably a good idea, to stay away from politics, especially now with how crazy things are getting. But, you know, it's just there's just not a lot of people that are raw and real out there.
Right.
You know, they will create a character, and I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I mean, it works, but I just think that there is, you don't have to do that to be successful, and you don't have to do that to resonate with people. You can be honest, you can be yourself, and that is a thing that can happen.
Well, I've actually realized people, they resonate more, and probably just because of the way society has been for the past 5-10 years, where we're trying to be so politically correct.
Yeah.
I've realized that actually being an asshole, or being rude, or being harsh, or honest, or blunt, you get more results. You get better traction with people.
Well, I think people are sick of people being full of shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because like, dude, I mean, let's face facts. Political correctness. I'll never forget. It was whatever, last election, or not last election, but the election before. I think it was the one between Hillary and McCain. I don't know, whoever it was. But there was something where, you know, one side was, you know, they were calling the other side racist, but then a memo came out that they called the Spanish voters Taco Bowl voters. And I'm like, y'all just sat there and called the other side racist, but then y'all are racist as hell. What are you talking about? It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. They're both full of shit, you know? And that's when I was just like, all right, I'm not even taking any of y'all seriously anymore, you know? But I get what you're saying, man. People are sick and tired of the BS. They're sick and tired of the extremist views on both sides.
Right.
And I think they just want a dose of reality. And whereas maybe that didn't, you try to do that in the 1930s. That ain't gonna happen. You know, you got the wife with the whatever that dress was that puffed out.
Yeah.
You know, and she's got the vacuum, and she's like this. You know,
with the brush thing.
The brush thing. You know, and if you, oh my gosh, if you put a martini in her hand, unless she was handing it to her husband, we got problems.
Right.
You know, and nowadays it's not like that. And I think we have decades and decades of bullshit,
right?
And we're sick of it, and we want reality, you know. So I think that's awesome. So let's get back to I want to get to how we got this $1 million business going. So what was the first big effect? So you had all this stuff taken out of your car, you're on the street. What did you do next?
So my mom, honestly, which is crazy. I'm seeing her in a few days. She's traveling here.
Cool. Awesome.
So my mom had a friend, old friend that her husband lived with, or some craziness. I forgot the whole setup, but it's an old lady and her son just died. So she was like super lonely. She needed company. So she asked me, hey, my mother, hey, I have this friend that really would love some help and stuff like that. Would you want to go stay with her, like for a month or whatever? I'm like, looking at the park bench, like, Yeah, sure.
Sounds like a much better option.
Yeah, so I went over there. I stayed for a month, and while staying there, she like really loved the company. I was over there watering her flowers and doing all kind of weird stuff for her. Really old lady and weird, considering the fact that she called me upstairs once and she was butt naked. But that's besides the point.
I mean,
she's like 78 years old.
Hey, you can't fault her for trying,
But yeah, she was super awesome. But there was a long while I was there, I actually had the opportunity to then go back into the construction, where again I was a horrible employee, horrible. So
most entrepreneurs are horrible employees. I was a terrible employee. I was horrifying. I was bad. So I feel you there.
So I mean, like I would show up to work like an hour late to work and say, you know what, knowing that I woke up late, it was the subway. Yeah, it was so bad. But I got basically through, and I was doing all this construction stuff. And one day, I kind of got the wake up call after not having anything, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna start really, really trying really hard for my employer. So work would start at 7 o'clock. I'm at the job at 6:30 working. And then one day there was an accident. I tripped on a piece of metal and rolled my whole ankle. When that happened, the job super said, "Hey, you if you go to the doctor, there's gonna be consequences." The job steward is like, "Hey, bro, you need to go to the doctor." So I'm like, you know what? Something like this happened already to me. So I was like, I'm going to the doctor. I went to the doctor. Doctor put an air cast on me, said, yeah, I got to lay off my foot for a week. Came back to the job. This guy slams a big metal, like, I'm not even sure if you have a metal door that size. It's like huge, like you feel the wind. Slammed it in front of my on my face, and I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to have a door closed on you. And honestly, I'm so grateful that happened. I'm looking at my life right now. So once that door was closed in my face, it was just like, I can't do this. I'm not doing this anymore. So I started like looking up all these different things online, trying to find something.
So just to be clear, you were you still living with this lady at this point? So you had internet access because you're living with the lady, helping her out. You had the job, so you had a little bit of money in construction.
Yeah.
And yet again, you wanted to change your situation. And so you started looking up stuff online.
Yeah, and that's when I found you, by the way.
Oh, this is when you found me?
Yeah.
Really? How long ago was this?
This was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay. Continue.
So when I found you, I took a trip to Miami. My mother was also going to Miami, or coming from a boat. The Carnival. She was going on a cruise. So I was going over there to meet her, and apparently I missed her. So
she got on the boat. The boat left. Okay.
Yeah. So I was in Miami by myself with my ex, and she's my ex for a reason. So
we don't need to get into that.
But she would come over whenever she wanted. She was my ex at the time, by the way. But she would come over to my hotel whenever she wanted. Had bare minimum money, but I went like searching for something, and luckily I was able to get that opportunity. I mean, I called thousands, right? So
when you say you found me, were you talking about when back in the day when I taught like marketing? And,
yes.
And I still teach marketing, but when I was doing the thing where I taught you how to get clients to advertise for.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. And so
I didn't have money for that, by the way.
Okay. Were you just watching my YouTube videos and stuff?
I watched your webinar like 1,010,000 times.
Cool. Yeah. I remember that. That feels like 20 years ago, but it was only like 5.
Yeah.
So time flies, or time goes slowly in entrepreneurship, I think.
Yeah.
So you went out, you watched that stuff, and you took the advice, and you just started hammering it.
Yes. Got the opportunity. It didn't even come at that moment, right? It came like moments way after when I was back in New York, where I got the opportunity to actually do something, and I made a commitment at that moment. And this is another epiphany moment. If you live for yourself, it's like a selfish life, and you're gonna always have to worry about yourself. But if you live for other people, then other people would make sure that you're good, no matter what. And literally, that's how I've been living my life.
That reciprocity.
Yeah, since that moment till now. That like I don't do anything for myself. Like you would never catch me at a restaurant by myself or shopping for myself or anything like that. Never.
So what did you with this new way that you were thinking? Because I've heard this from a lot of people, that it's funny because people who are like middle class,
right,
they live for themselves a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I've met so many homeless people who are literally like, I remember one time, well, actually this has happened more than one time, but I've literally like bought food for a homeless person, like a foot-long Subway or something. I hand it to them, they break it
and give it to
someone else. And I just thought it's incredible how much, how present that is in that community. For those that have so little are oftentimes the ones that are the most giving. That's crazy, and it really makes you think and puts things in perspective. If you're not somebody that has so little, if you're somebody that has a decent amount, or maybe you have a lot, and just to know that those that don't have as much, they're generally far more generous. So that could be something that served you tremendously.
I mean, it definitely did. Even recently, we went to Tampa. We did an event in Tampa. We literally spent an entire day just giving food to the homeless people, and the same exact thing that you just mentioned. Like, there'd be people that, and attitude is half of it. I kid you not, attitude as well. It's that and attitude. But we would literally go, we'd give a box of pizza to a bunch of the homeless people out there in Tampa, and you would literally see them going and sharing it with their friends and stuff like that. And we're looking and we're like, wow, and then there's like people walking around the street, and then they're telling like, hey, I have a friend that's over there. Can you go? Like, we literally got directed where to find more homeless people by the homeless people.
They would know. Yeah, they would know. Yeah, they'd have it. So let's get back to what you did next. So you started looking for clients to start, your marketing business and all that. And how did you find your first one?
In Miami, when I did that long trail, but I hadn't actually closed them until like 2 months after.
Okay. How did you close them? But keep in mind, being where you're at, being your first time ever, formerly homeless, still kind of homeless,
I love this story so much. So actually what happened was one of my other exes in New York, well, we were like on and off thing. It was so weird. So she was actually at work, so she's a school nurse. So she was at work, and she was texting me, hey, I want to come over. And I'm like, oh, damn it. I love her, but it was just like, she's a real bee when she doesn't eat. So I know the first thing that I have to do whenever I see is just go get her some food, so like she'll be actually nice, So I'm like, all right, cool. I have $10 to my name. $10. And if we go, I'm not going to have this money anymore. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to trust the world. I went, took her to Panera Bread, not too far from us. We got a Baja mac and cheese, like $8 and some change. The teller gives me back $1 and a little bit of coins. I'm like, wow, I'm down to $1. $1 and a dream. So I told her, hey, go sit down. She went and she sat down, and then I went to the door of the Panera Bread. I picked up my phone, and I called John, the client. And he was just like, he listened. He was just like, everything you say, it sounds good. Why am I going to trust you, though? Like, you can just take my money and walk off with it. And I said, you're right. I agreed with him. You're right. But pay me half now, half later. If you don't get the results, then you don't have to pay me at all. Granted, I did not know what the hell I was doing because I didn't buy the course.
So did he say yes?
Yeah, he said yes. And like 2 seconds later, I was getting a Venmo and I'm like,
Was that the most money somebody had ever paid you in that?
yes, in that short amount of time. And granted, it was only $500, which is.
But still,
yeah.
you know. So what did you, when you got paid that, I imagine you thought, you know, you got to deliver for this person.
Oh, yeah. And I literally, that goes back to me saying, you know, I just started living for him. I lived, breathed his entire business. My living did not even matter to me because I understood at that point, okay, I have one client, right? If I'm able to, like, you know, obviously I can't take care of myself. If I could have, I wouldn't be where I am right now, right? But I'm pretty sure someone else's business can take care of me. If I make myself an asset, if I make myself valuable to this person, then some of my worries are kind of like for food. He's going to make sure I'm eating if I'm valuable to him.
Right.
He's going to make sure I have a shelter if I'm valuable to him. So I just basically made myself a super asset. And over time doing that, I got like, I just.
Did you become an asset?
Hell yeah.
So you got results for him. So you, can I want to touch on this because this is something that I see a lot. Imagine for a moment that you have two options, right? And the client could have gone with somebody who had a little bit more experience,
Right.
who'd been doing this for a while, but they had several clients. Or you could go with you, who is a beginner.
Oh wait, I did not tell him I was a beginner.
I understand that. But I'm saying, but think about this, right? How hard a lot of people don't give enough credit to hustle and to grit, and they think it's all about experience.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, experience is great, but experience without hustle and grit really it's nothing, and it can't hold up to just pure hustle. Because think about this, somebody else who had a bunch of clients, they would have been one of many clients. Maybe they'd have paid attention to me, maybe not. Maybe they know more than you, but because of the situation you were in, because your back was against the wall, because you had to pull through, you had to get results, you had to do this, your very life depended on it, basically. You wouldn't eat. You were willing to put in so much effort that you figured it out. Even though you were in the situation you were in, and even though you did not have the experience to do so, you figured it out and you made it happen. You got the client results.
Right. Too much results, by the way.
Too much results. Too much results.
He couldn't handle it.
Oh, he had too many customers.
Yeah, he didn't have a actual system. He didn't have a front desk lady, so it was really chaotic.
Wow.
Which is good because
What does that tell you about hustle, though? Like, what does that tell you about hustle? It tells you that if you have that, right, you can whatever else you need to do the thing, whatever else you need, you can get it.
Yeah.
But if you have those things, you have no hustle. They're just gonna be laying around collecting dust.
All right.
So that's awesome, man. That's freaking cool. So that was your first real chunk of success.
Yes, and then my first client paying me, over $1,500 was the real holy cow. So
Is that why you freaked out when you saw me at that conference?
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. We were standing there, and your eyes got about as wide as silver dollars.
yeah, man, you're amazing, Dan. Like, I'll say this, guys. Dan is super amazing, phenomenal guy. Love this guy so much.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I do my best to put good information out there and help people because look, I wasn't in your situation,
Right.
I was in a bad situation. The worst I got, I've had two low points. One was when I was living in Chicago, delivering pizza, and I was literally in such a bad rental, but I was able to rent it, that the furnace kept going out, and I had a slumlord who would never fix it. And so on Christmas, it was -16 in Chicago, -52 with wind chill, -52. And Me and my girlfriend at the time took our last little bit of money. We went to Walmart and we bought 4 of those cheap space heaters, like
Right.
the ones that radiate, they don't even blow.
Right.
We made a circle, like a box out of them. We took every blanket we had in the house. We basically got naked so that our skin could touch, and huddled up, put the blankets over us, and got in the middle of that square. And that's how we spent, Christmas Eve and the days before Christmas, because the landlord was not willing to fix it because it was the holidays. And, when it is that cold outside, you can actually freeze to death
Right.
in your own house if you don't have heat. And so that's how we survived. And then the other time I was in a much better position. I had a house
Right.
that I had bought. I had bought it cash because I was so afraid of. I had saved up $50,000, and this was after I had like some mildly successful businesses, and I bought a house cash because I was like, well, I don't ever want to have to pay bills,
Right.
and I just ran out of money trying to create the next awesome business, and literally took, again, back to my last dollar, went out and bought white T-shirts from Walmart, and went to the where they
Print shop.
the print shop, and had them put water $1 on the shirt. Went out, bought cases of water, and went out on the side of the road and tried to sell water bottles on the side of the road to pay my electric, because I had the house but I still had to pay electric.
Right.
And those were like the 2 pretty low points in my life. And then, to then from there go and build, make $25 million with my business was, I just think back to, like, there's people who are still working at Pizza Hut. There's people who, or whatever pizza place or restaurant, there's people who every day are in those situations, worse than those situations, what have you. And I didn't come from the white picket. I didn't come from the, already ahead of the game. I came from there. Not as bad as your situation, but
It's still bad.
still pretty bad. And so, I have this special place in my heart for people who are in that position, and I like to be able to do what I can to put information out there to help them in a language and in a way that they can understand. Because most business education out there, it's all like, you kind of already have to be a business person to even understand it. And nobody talks in real talk, and nobody says, like for instance, I don't even know what quarter it is. I think it's the 4th quarter, right? Because we're almost to the holidays. Like, I don't pay attention. It's so weird. I don't pay attention to like Q1, Q2, Q3.
Right.
I'm like, it's almost Christmas, so we must be in the last one, right? Like, I'm a odd bird, but I do like to put information out there for people like you, because I was in a bad position, and I never got that advantage that a lot of people get in business.
Right.
Connections and all that. I had to do it myself. So that's why I do it, and I'm eternally grateful that you got value from that, and that even in a small way, I was able to help you.
I mean, in a small way, that has been actually one of those things that saved my life. So I'm eternally grateful for you as well.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm eternally grateful for you coming on the show and sharing. That's incredible. So did that end up spiraling into your $1 million business just over the years?
Well, after that, I realized that, having just one client isn't going to cut it.
Right.
You're basically one client away from going back to where you started. So I needed to get my other clients, and I just knew that I didn't want to have low ticket. I wanted to have high ticket.
You wanted to have a more premium service.
Right.
Yeah.
But at that time, I didn't think that I was deserving. So I watched like a webinar by Vision as well. And it kind of like spoke about some stuff that mindset. And I was just like, well, I don't believe in myself. Right. Because that was the whole premise of it. Hey, but do you believe in yourself? Do you believe that you can actually get these things? Do you understand that this is how the world works? And for you to attract anything physical, you have to spiritually be there. And, I sat down with myself thinking like, wow, I actually don't really, I think that money is more valuable than me. And then I told myself, like, I literally had a conversation with my own brain. I was like, why can't I get a $1,500 client? I ask myself that. My brain says, well, that's easy. You'd have to give it back. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Like a few moments passed and I was like, wait, but if I'm an asset and I'm worth more than that, why would I have to give it back? My brain just stayed quiet. No end. Even up to
You
now,
worked it out.
Yeah, even up to now, I'm still waiting for a response from my brain. And then, funniest, craziest thing, like less than an hour later, a client that I was working on said, "Hey, I want to get started now. When can we get started?" Like less than an hour after I had the conversation with myself, and then I set up the appointment for basically 9 o'clock the next day, which was like less than 12 hours. I went there, spoke to him at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I said, hey, he asked me the price, and I said, $1,500. And I swear to you, Dan, the entire time I'm like, okay, now I'll just do 700.
But you didn't let yourself do it.
I wanted to, Dan, I wanted to. But I said 1,500 and I set the price. I told him the price, stayed quiet. A few moments later, I just got a notification on my phone right in front of him. And I wanted to celebrate, but he was right there. Like, no, I have to pretend like I do this. I have to like this is regular.
Right.
Yeah, but that was amazing, and then that skyrocketed to one thing, to another thing, to another thing. Yes,
yeah.
and
Wow.
then
And it sounds like you just kept working it out. I mean,
Yeah.
if you really go back, to even the beginning where you were trying to figure out things like, I'm going to get this laptop, right? I'm going to drive Uber, and if I sleep in my car or taxi, I'm going to sleep in the car, and then I'll work up to get the lab. Like, you were working it out. And I think a lot of times people, they will not realize that whether you are homeless, whether you are a 6-figure entrepreneur, whether you're a 7-figure entrepreneur, an 8-figure entrepreneur, the process of working things out and challenging your own beliefs and problem solving and critical thinking, it really is the same at all levels. It's just that if you keep doing it, you will keep getting to the next level.
right.
It's not that different. And so the reason I say that is because anybody watching this or listening to this needs to know that no matter where you are, no matter what level you're at, it doesn't matter what that level is. What matters is that you keep solving problems. It's that you keep thinking through things. It's that you keep challenging yourself and seeking to become the highest version of yourself. And if you do that, you will keep leveling up. You will keep getting to the next level. But if you sit there and you think, well, I'm at this low level, and you just roast on that, and you just can't get that out of your head, then you won't solve problems. You won't think critically, and you'll just basically
Wither.
and you'll just And so I think that's so important to everybody, especially if they're at what they perceive as a low level, is to understand that it doesn't matter, because what you do now is going to be the same thing you do the next 3, 4, 5, 6 levels, the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years. So you better start getting used to it now, and you better do it now, because you're still going to feel like you could be higher even when you are higher.
Right. And you know what, then? It's so crazy. I hope everyone that's listening actually catches this. You just gave them the answer. But there's going to be so much people still waiting for that secret of how to get successful. You just gave them the answer.
Yeah. Well, it's I always say that I mentioned this in my book because I think it's so powerful, but you ever seen the movie The Martian with Matt Damon?
No, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay. So well, spoiler alert. So he's this astronaut. It's in the future, and they not too far in the future, but they go to Mars, and something happens, and he ends up getting stranded. The ship has to leave without him, right? And so they leave, and he only has so much food to last him like hardly any time at all. Well, he happens to be a botanist, so he figures out a way to basically grow like wheat or something, or potatoes on Mars by making condensation from this jetpack or something, you know, and basically he survives for a full year. And during the movie, all these crazy things happen. Like he solves this problem, but then this happens, and he solves that problem, but then this blows up, and then this happens. And every single time it happens, it seems like he's done for. It seems like he's done. But then he's like, nope, I can do this, and and he gets to the point where he's like almost about to die. And because it would take a year for them to come back to get him, because they needed to go back, hit a window, you know, slingshot around the earth, whatever they had to do to get back. And so they get back, and then just in the rescue operation, same thing. All these crazy things happen, ropes break, all this stuff. And he ends up making it, and he comes back, and at the end of the movie, it's a scene where he's older, and he's at NASA, and he's speaking to a group of new recruits. And he says, at some point when you're up there, everything's going to go south, and you're going to think, this is it, this is how I end. And you have a choice to make. You can either think that and accept it and die, or you can start doing the math. You can start solving problems. And you solve one problem, and then you solve another problem, and then you solve another problem. And if you solve enough problems, you get to come home. And I always tell entrepreneurs that it's the same thing. You start a business, and you're faced with a problem, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. And if you stop solving problems, your business dies. But if you keep solving them one after another, if you solve enough problems, you get to become a millionaire.
And that's definitely the truth. That's definitely something that I think it's called the Murphy's Law, actually, right? Where no matter what happens, is problem after problem after problem after problem.
Whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, but the thing is, with that as well, positive thought changes all those things as well, right? And understanding, because if you have a positive thought or a positive belief in certain things, then it doesn't really matter what the problem is, because you believe that you can fix it. But there will always be those problems, always, no matter what.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, let's say you step into a boxing ring, or you're skateboarding down the road, and you're saying to yourself, like, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall. Or you're in the ring, and you're like, I'm going to get knocked out, I'm going to get knocked out. You'll create that scenario. You'll create that scenario, and it'll happen. I've actually done that before. I got somebody gave me a gift. My realtor gave me a gift, one of those scooters. And so I figured out that you can like put it on a mode where it'll go 25 miles an hour.
Right.
So I'm just put it in that mode, and I'm on my scooter, and I'm going downtown, and this thing hits 25 miles an hour. And I've never rode a scooter before like that. And I think in my head, how terrible would it be if I just totally wiped out right now? And so I think that, and for some dumb reason, at 25 miles an hour, I decided it's a good idea to take my left hand and like scratch my nose. And the scooter goes, and I literally go over the top at 25 miles an hour and just wipe out all over the sidewalk like a total asshole.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I remember as I like hit the ground, I'm like, yep, I did that. I thought it, and I made it happen. And so I think one of the things to put the positive thought on a more practical level is that if you are in a negative state of mind, your actions and the things you do and the effort you put in and everything around it will come out and will happen in a negative way. And if you're in a positive state of mind, you will be in a situation where you will take actions that lead to a more positive result.
Right.
And here's a little analogy I use, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, that's bullshit." Here's a little a little analogy for you that will prove that your state of mind really does control all this. So imagine that you are you get in your car, right? And you're thinking, I'm going to go home to my lady tonight. And you got it all planned out, right? There's like rose petals and stuff. And you're like, I'm going to go home, and we're going to do it up, right? It's going to be a good night. You get in your car, and you're on your way. You're like on your way there. And all you can think about is like, it's going to be a good night tonight. We got the rose petals out, all that. And you pull up to a stoplight, and your windows are down. And apparently you didn't notice this, but you cut somebody off. So this dude pulls up next to you, rolls down his window, takes a large McDonald's milkshake, throws it through the window, smacks you in the face, all over your clothes, all over your car, and drives off. Like, how angry would you be?
I'd be pretty pissed off.
Yeah. Now, do you think that when you go home 5 minutes later, that you're going to have just as good of a night with your lady as if that never happened.
Of course not.
Yeah. Why though? But why?
Because of that negative energy, that negative feeling. If I didn't have that altercation or anything like that happen, I'd have came home with that. Ooh,
Yeah.
let's have some fun.
Time to get jiggy with it.
Right. Because of that little negative thing, and it's the worst thing about this is that moment would have probably only lasted like 10 seconds.
Right, 10 seconds. Well, I mean, maybe it'd take you about 30 minutes to clean up the car, but here's where it gets interesting. While that is true,
right,
and that is how 99% of the people on this planet live their lives. If that happened, it's going to be bad.
Right.
If it didn't happen, it would be better. The real secret, it's not a secret, but the real person to strive to be is the person that can have that happen,
be unaffected,
and still go home, wipe themselves off, and still have a great night.
There we go.
And the same thing that happens in your brain that would allow you to do that is the same thing that allows people who are against the odds, who you never would think would be successful, people who were homeless, people who delivered pizza for 7 years, to build multi-million-dollar companies, become best-selling authors, become sports stars, become amazing things in life. Because at the end of the day, everybody deals with things. And it's not about what happens. It's about how you react to what happens. Right. And if you can master that, you can manipulate and achieve anything in life. You can make life work for you rather than you work for life.
And there's this exercise that I love helping people with as well. It's like an identity chart, all right? So what I do is I have people write down like everyone should actually have this. I'm pretty sure you've done it before, right? Where everyone writes down their identities, right? They write down, what they identify as or who they identify with. And then they write down a list of pros and cons, right? Someone that's an angry person, let's just say that's your identity, right? Because a lot of people, they walk around miserable, upset, right? That's your identity, right? But then there's also a list of pros that comes with being an angry person, right?
Not letting yourself get taken advantage of.
Right, people don't bother you. But then here's the cons. No one wants to be around you. Opportunities literally walk by you because no one likes you.
This sounds like adaptive and maladaptive behaviors.
Right. So with all those things, you can literally change those things, and you can choose who you want to be, right? And because we all have free will, right? We believe that?
Well, we could go down a whole another rabbit hole on that. I mean, sure, we have free will. I think I'm open to the concept that we don't, but it's a whole different conversation. But yes, we have free will.
So if we have free will and we believe that, okay, I'm in control of my choice. Like right now, I can pick my nose, right? Yeah. I can wipe it on your mic.
Please no.
Right? But that's free will. And because if I do that, then there's going to be things that follow that, right? But people don't understand, like, hey, these actions or the person.
Like Brandon ordering a new microphone.
But what I'm saying is that, every action that you take will always have either a reaction or a response, right, from someone or however the case is. And it could either be negative or positive. So your job as a human, right, because you have to be able to use your mind in a better way. That's the only way that you can actually elevate. And if you can control your actions and your thoughts and your behaviors, then you can change your entire outlook in life. You can change your life completely. That's what I've done.
Yeah. Now you spent 6 months in Trinidad, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
So why did you go to Trinidad?
Well, because nothing was really working out for me in New York. My landlady at that point, I've been spending time. I kind of overstayed my welcome, so I just went to Trinidad. It was an awesome time at that time. It's like a complete detox. If I didn't do that, I probably would still be in that situation. But what I did is, while I was in Trinidad, is I literally eliminated fears out of my life. I ate clean, like didn't eat anything cooked from a stove. Literally clean, like climb trees every single day, and eat from a tree, whether it's mango, oranges, cocoa, whatever the case is. It came from a tree. But my biggest takeaway from that entire experience, that entire journey, wasn't just how clean I was, because me being clean, I was able to think better, think faster, be quicker, be faster, and have
So no processed foods.
Well, they don't really. They have that in Trinidad. Yeah, they have it, but it's not as accessible as it would be in America, right? Okay. Plus, we live in the mountains,
right?
So that's
yeah.
Whole,
it's not
like
you can just go to McDonald's. And,
yeah. McDonald's is like I think they have one McDonald's in the entire country, and it's like 40-minute drive. No one's driving 40 minutes for McDonald's.
Are people generally healthy there?
Well, crazy story. Homeless people are probably the happiest people in that country.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, and again, I learned so much valuable lessons from actually just traveling there, staying there, and just detaching from everything. They don't have any worries. Like, people like, you and me, or even like, regular everyday people. And I used this analogy, a few times before, and no one understood me, but I'm pretty sure you'll understand me. We have things like cell phones, right, where we invest into it, and we break it. What happens?
Depends if you have insurance or not, but it's a bad day if you break your phone for sure.
It's a bad day, right? But then someone that's homeless, they don't even have that.
They don't even have an opportunity to break it.
Yeah. So it's just like they're just happy with the little that they do have. Right, because they don't have much.
Less moving parts.
Yes. So like literally, I remember when I came back and I was trying to explain this exact same analogy to this lady at a real estate office, because I was always trying to do different things. I literally grabbed my phone. Hold on, I think I left the phone in the car, but I always carry that phone. I grabbed my phone, threw it against the wall, cracked the whole screen. She lost her shit, and I'm like, it's just the phone. She was like, but you just... No, sweetie, it's just a phone. It can be replaced, right? And I was just showing her, like, life is a little bit more precious than these materialistic things. But that's why the people there, as homeless as they are, they're more happier, because they just appreciate the fact that they're surrounded by people that actually like them. Whether they're on the streets or not, they have people that they're close to on the streets.
And why exactly did you break the phone?
Well, I just wanted to prove the point.
That's kind of an abrasive way to prove the point, but
it got the point across.
I can understand your energy. I can understand your hustle there, though, to make said point.
Right.
But, okay. All right. An analogy might have worked, but
well, I don't think she would have understood it.
Okay.
She, I think she's more of the type of person, like, if she's seen it, she'd then believe it. Because
it's like a major pattern interrupt.
Yeah, because now it's whoa. He just broke his phone in front of me, and he's not just talking about breaking it. He literally just broke his phone in front of me, and he doesn't care. Right? I'm gonna use Evelise as an example as well. She shredded $25,000 the other day.
Why? You realize that's illegal, right? That's not something you can do for fun. Like, that's like a felony. I mean, it says bacon crack, but I mean, this show is for entertainment purposes only. All views and opinions expressed are not that. So why did you shred $25,000? It was an accident. She's not on mic, but you were carrying $25,000. You tripped and fell into a shredder and hit the power button. What do you mean it was an accident? How do you accidentally shred $25,000?
Well, I took the envelope and I put it in the shredder.
You took the envelope and put it in the shredder. Yeah. Why?
It felt right.
You got a weird crew, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. You got a weird crew. It felt right. What?
It hurt me more.
Are you guys still cooking that crack, or what's going on here? Like, is it you got like a kitchen in the back of the office, or? So, whose $25,000 was it?
It was mine, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. It was your 25,000. All right. Well,
Right. But going back to the story, you know, she shredded it, and you know, she thought I'd be pissed off. But I was like, okay.
I would be pissed off. Where's Alice? Is Alice here? Alice, note, never shred 25 grand of my money. I'm not that at one with the universe as Junior here. She doesn't even know what's going on. She's like poking her head out of the office there. Yeah. Well, you definitely have achieved enlightenment a lot more than me, because I'd be pissed. That's why I keep my money in Bitcoin. You can't shred Bitcoin.
There we go.
But so that's interesting. And so I just want to ask this. You had an envelope of $25,000. You thought it was right to go up to a shredder and put it in the shredding machine and shred it. And then what possessed you to do that?
Okay, so I was actually checking all the envelopes, right?
And she just did not check that one envelope.
Oh, you were shredding envelopes.
Yeah, like a mail. Basically.
Oh, you were shredding mail. Oh, okay. So let's make this story a little bit more clear here. Okay. All right. So you had mail and you thought it was junk mail, and it happened to have what, a $25,000 check in it?
Yeah, but it was
Cashier's check.
Oh, cashier's check. So you can still go
check.
get the money.
Can I really?
Yeah. You asked the person that paid you to reissue.
No, I.
Oh, no, you could call the bank, I think.
No.
You should be able to.
They said finito.
No.
I called them yesterday or
You
2
need to
days
call them
ago.
back. You need to talk to a manager. I'm pretty sure you can get that back. But that's still, yeah, you might, yeah, my gosh, man. I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what to say to that. What is it?
I'll make up for it. We'll make more money.
You'll make more. Well,
He said 50,000. Look at it.
I love the positive attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we keep it. That's what keeps the things going. You know what I'm saying? If we ever allow a negative attitude, the negative energies.
I still think you should call the bank again. But yeah, I got you.
Yeah, we literally called them and they said that you know, because it didn't get lost or stolen or anything like they even checked, and it just didn't get used basically. And I'm like, I know it didn't get used. They said, I don't know. I don't know.
But that's worth a second phone call. I'm just gonna I get the positivity, but my God, man, like, all right. So, what would you say to somebody who's in a bad position, like being homeless, like you were, or being in a bad position where they had to sell drugs in order to survive? And they want to get out of that position, but they just don't feel it's possible. What would you say to them?
Well, one thing I would say, it's about your beliefs, right? If you believe that it's not possible, then it definitely is not going to be possible, right? Another thing is you want to, and this is one of the biggest things I preach. You have to look around you, right? See the people that's doing the same exact things that you're doing, and you have to see their outcomes. So in my scenario, I looked at the people that I was with in Albany doing the foolishness, and I realized that, hey, this isn't really productive. This is not worth my time. If anything happens and I'm spending 5-10 years in jail or whatever, that's not good, right? Even with the construction jobs, when I used to do that too, I looked around. I'm a third-year construction worker. So I looked at my grandfather. You know, he just got diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer. So that's why I came to Florida originally in 2019. And, you know, all the money that he made, like, he has no money, right? Then I looked at my father, and he's going through the exact same thing where, you know, now he has back issues, and he's coughing up a whole bunch of foolishness, and, you know, he has surgeries. And, you know, my father and him, they're 20 years apart, and me and my father is 20 years apart. Just like, you know, all right, I'm young right now, but what's going to happen if I keep doing this for 20 years as well? Am I going to have the same exact life as my father? So I just started, like, being able to just look around me. And it's called paying attention. A lot of people don't do that too often. But I just looked around me. I started saying, hey, well, you know, this is their best capability doing this one thing, then, you know, that's what I have to look forward to if I continue doing this route or going through this route. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in my situation or in my previous situation, they don't do that. They sit down, they mingle, they do the same exact things that they've been doing a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. There's no change. And one thing that I do preach a bunch is, you know, it's either A, you're growing or you're decaying. Look at a fruit, right? We're all humans. We're all creatures of the earth. We're all plants, basically, right? If you have a tree, right? And I use avocados because I love avocados. But if you have an avocado plant, you have an avocado fruit attached to that plant, and it's continually getting nourished and fed, and it's going to keep growing, right? But the moment that you pluck it from the source of its nourishment, what happens? 3 days later, 4 days later, it's shriveled up, black, nasty, rotten. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's really important for you to surround yourself with people that not only allows you to grow, but inspires you to grow. And most people, they're not going to get that from, you know, that situation or whatever situation they're in. They have to go out there and find it. And if they're not going out there and actively looking for it, it's not just going to come to them.
So upgrade your circle.
Yes,
Upgrade
and
your
your
circle.
environment as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe if you upgrade your circle, the environment will
Will
follow.
change, actually 1,000%.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a hard thing for most people. I mean, if you really think about that, because here's what people will do. They will say, what they've been with, because I've heard this from people so many times. They'll be like, well, this person was with me in my hardest times. This person has been around. I can't just get rid of my friends.
Right.
They've been with me in this time and that time and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, yeah, I get that. But if they are really your friends,
And they'll understand.
they'll understand. Because if you're trying to level up, they're either going to be inspired by you or they're going
Intimidated.
to be intimidated by you. And if they are intimidated by you, they're going to make fun of your dreams. They're going to encourage you to have more realistic dreams. They're going to say terms and things like, oh, that's a pipe dream or this or that. And they're going to discourage you from pursuing what you want to pursue. And then you have to ask yourself, if that's the case, well, then are they really your friend? And then if they're inspired by you, they should be inspired by the fact that you maybe want to spend less time going out and you want to spend more time building your empire, doing what you're going to do. And in which case, if they don't, are they really your friend? So there really is no situation in which you would be abandoning somebody that was truly your friend, because the math just doesn't work out that way. I have people who are still my friends, people that I used to deliver pizza with, same people. And I have people that aren't. And the ones that are still my friends, they're inspired, they understand, they know that I'm doing what I'm doing. I still hang out with them, but not like I used to. I don't hang out at Denny's at 3 a.m. every single night like I used to. You know that life, you know.
Right.
Or worse yet, Waffle House. But they know that, and so they support me and they're supportive in that. And then I have friends who they have a negative mindset against it. And you know, it starts with, oh, that's a pipe dream, and then it ends in jealousy when you actually accomplish it.
Right.
You know. And again, those people were never really my friends. And so when you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, well, I can't just give up on my friends, it's like you're not giving up on your friends, because if you have to define it as giving up on them, then they were never your friend to begin with.
Right. 1,000%. And you know, there's also one more level to that as well. Because once success comes, there's going to be a lot of people that comes with it as well, right? I found that, you know, I had friends that were like talking behind my back when I was at my lowest times. And, you know, now that I'm doing a little bit better for myself, they're the same friends that's calling Evelise and saying, hey, where's Junior?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I need to go out. I need to borrow some money or something. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that definitely happens as well. You know, those are the fly-by-night friends.
Right, but it all goes back to, you know, you have to do what's sometimes best for you. Well, not sometimes, all the times. You have to do what's best for yourself. You know, if you know that you want to elevate, you have to elevate no matter what, no matter who, no matter how. It doesn't matter. Like, just know that, all right, I have a vision. I have something I want to go for, a goal. Just go for it. I think that too many people operate with fear. And that also goes back to something that I conquered in Trinidad when I basically went and made it a ritual to literally go inside a river at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning and bathe. I don't know if you know what that feels like.
To bathe in a river at 3 in the morning?
Yeah.
I can't say that I do. I don't.
Close your eyes.
Okay, all right. I'm here.
That's what it looks like. All right.
Okay.
Now imagine a bunch of foreign noises, rustling of bushes, all this other stuff, like weird noises that
And
you've
I'm
never
naked,
heard.
right? I'm buck naked, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. And there's like little fishies biting at my stuff, and
well, no.
feels uncomfortable so far.
It definitely is uncomfortable at the beginning, right? And it's something I literally grew up at being super afraid of when I was a child, and then just being able to actually go out there and do it. It just made me realize, like, all these and actually not even just doing it, but loving it, doing it over and over.
Why did that act? How did that help you? What did that do?
Well, it was, again, like I said, it was one of those big fears that I had. I never thought that I would ever do it because when I was younger, so in the Caribbean, they don't really have like the water systems that America has. So most people have to carry like a 2-liter soda bottle,
Right.
fill it up at the river, bring it back home, and fill up the toilets and stuff like that, so they can use it to bathe and whatever the case is. Then someone within the community got wiser, so they built a pipe system. But the thing is that you have to fill up your tanks, right? Big black tanks, water tanks. You have to fill up those pipes at the nighttime, or else if you're doing it in the daytime, there's a lot of you may get some dirty water because people are in the river doing whatever they're doing, right? So I would like sometimes go with my stepfather to go fill up, and I'm like 11 o'clock at night, 10, 11, where it's dark, but it's not that dark, but it's dark, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it. So I literally lived my entire childhood and life kind of like the river, you don't go in there. Plus there's like the sayings with the demons and the obias and all this other weird stuff. So like going to the river at nighttime is definitely a no-no. But when I was able to like just go there, experience the peace, experience the joy, experience the world, I would say, right? Find love and joy in that fear that I once had. It made me feel like, all right, what else do I fear? And why do I fear it? Right? Looking back at myself now, I had nothing to be afraid of. And that goes to all of my fears. Everything that I feel like I'm afraid of, I literally just, okay, why am I afraid of this? What is there to fear? What is the worst that can happen? And most of the times, it's nothing, right? It's just a baseless fear.
Like if you work it out to what's the worst case scenario, that worst case scenario isn't even that bad. Like I used to tell people that when they get their first client, like
Right.
what's the worst that could happen? The client's unhappy, you refund them. Okay, so what? Did the world end? Did you learn something? You did. You learned something, and you learned how not to do it again, so
Right.
that you don't get in a situation again where you have to refund. And even if you do, you learn something more until eventually you're not refunding people.
Right.
You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And the fact that maybe you didn't do a good job and you refunded them, it shows character. It shows that you're willing to do what's right. And so there's really no situation in which, like you said, there's nothing to fear,
Right.
because it's just not that bad. What and I think a lot of times people misunderstand the difference between fear and anxiety. Fear is a response to a clear and present danger.
Right.
Like there's a car speeding right towards you out of
That's a
control.
fear.
Like that's a fear. But like being afraid of some potential outcome that may or may not happen, that's anxiety. And the comprehension and understanding of the difference between fear and anxiety, I think is important, because when you realize it's anxiety, you can begin to do things to conquer that.
Right.
And I think people give fear far too much credit when it's really anxiety.
I mean, you see it all the time, right? Like, for instance, let's talk about you, right? I'm pretty sure you had a time where, you had your job, right?
Mm.
And you had this fork in your road. Either A, I take this entrepreneurial journey, or B, I stay with my job, right?
Yeah.
I had it as well, right? And you understood that, all right, if I even allow the fear to seep in, I'm not going to be moving forward to what I want. I'm going to be moving further away from that, right? And most people, they don't get it. They live with the fear. They breathe, eat fear, everything. Like, there's a point of time where I actually stopped eating meat completely, just because I understand that, when you kill animals, they're in fear. You're putting those things in your body. So I was like so anti-fear for like 2 years of my life.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you are what you eat.
So there was a time when and I think a lot of people feel like this when they have a job. It's safety versus the unknown.
Right.
It's, do I keep my job and know that I'll get a pay, as small as it may be, know that I'll get a paycheck next week, or do I decide to become an entrepreneur? And I think that paycheck will be bigger. I'm not sure what it will be, and I'm not even sure that I'm going to get it. Which path do you choose? Most people take the first one because it's safer.
Yeah.
And the second one is scary. It's the unknown. It's walking through the fog. You can't see where you're going. You really don't even know what the destination is sometimes. And it's a very scary thing to do. And that is why the reward is so high for those that choose that path. Because when you get to the end of that path,
there's freedom.
There's freedom. But it's such a hard path to walk through. It's such a scary path to walk through. You could walk the easy path and get this big of a reward. Or you walk the scary path, the path that is terrifying. It's like going to a haunted house times 1,000.
Or going into that river.
Yeah, or whatever it is that scares you. And you don't even know if you're going to get the reward on the other side. And that's why those that go through it, when they do get a reward, it's so big because of what they're willing to go through. And that's just a cold, hard truth that a lot of people really have to understand. When you say, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an entrepreneur, whatever these things are, you have to think, am I willing to walk that path? Am I willing to walk that scary path? Am I willing to go to school for 8 years? And am I willing to study? And am I willing to basically live on ramen noodles while I fund my company? Am I willing to do this? Am I willing to do that? And most people just aren't.
And you know what, Dan? I realize again, right? So there's this thing called the 80-20 rule. I'm pretty sure you know about it, right?
Pareto principle, yep.
100% of people say that they want this, they want the doctorates, they want the millionaire, they want the lawyer, they want these things, right? But only 20% actually do what it takes to get that.
Oh, this is a different 80-20 rule. This is so I would call this the 99-1 rule, because I think 20 is being generous.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it's generous.
Yeah, I think it's being super generous. I mean, well, you know what it is? It's that people want things, but we're not called human havings. We're called human beings.
Right. I like that.
So yeah, I got that one from my good buddy Myron Golden. He's amazing. Yeah, I heard him say that one time. I was like, wow, that's really good. Because that's the thing. Like, I want to have a nice car. I want to have a nice business. I want to have this. I want to have that. Well, you're not a human having. You're a human being. You can't have anything. You must become the person that deserves it.
Right.
And so I always tell people, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes and envision yourself a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the person that has all these things, the person that has the nice house, that has the nice car, that has the business, that has all these things. And I want you to think about how that person lives their life, how that person behaves, the choices that they make, the behaviors that they make. Do they stay up and late and drink? Or are they working? Do they focus? Do they read a book a week? Or do they just watch TV? Like, what are the behaviors that, like, who is that person that deserves all of those things that you want? And then ask yourself, are you that person? Are you actively working to become that person? Not how do I get those things? How do I become the person that can make those things happen? And if you're being honest with yourself, if you're not working to become that person and become a person that has those habits and become a person that thinks in that way, well, you're not going to have those things.
Right.
And you're never going to become the person that can make it happen. And that's where you got to get real, super, super honest with yourself and really understand if you're willing to do what it takes to get what you want.
1,000% agreed. 1,000%.
So, Junior, this has been amazing. I love the fact that you came on here, and I love the fact that, because sometimes I sit down with people who were born into this, people who had formal business education, people who, had a head start. And not as often do I get to talk to somebody who started at not just 0 but like -10. You know what I'm saying? Like I would say I started at probably 0. You got in the negatives. You had to, you had to get to 0 first.
Right.
And the way that but there are people who have advantages. There are people who have formal education. They still don't have $1 million business, yet you do. And you know what? Maybe those people know a lot more about business than you do, or even I do.
Pretty sure they do.
Yeah, right? I mean, they probably know the terminology. They probably know all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, they don't have $1 million business, and you do.
Right.
And what is that? And to me, that is the way you think. That is the lens in which you look at life. That is the way that you decide to show up. That makes the difference, and that will overcome any amount of advantage, any amount of education, any amount of tools, and those things all help, and they're great to have.
Right. Any amount of skill.
But here's the thing. If you have the hustle, if you have the mentality, if you have the mental game on point, you can acquire all of those things extremely easy. But if you have all those things and you don't have the mental game, you're not going to be able to use them. They're going to be absolutely useless to you.
Right.
So I really do appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I mean, we met at the we met at that conference, and when you told me that, because I saw you there. I saw you there with your team, right? And I'm like, oh, this guy. Well, he's obviously somebody's on his way up. He's got a team. He's making money. He's got a nice watch, And then when you told me that you were homeless, and then I found out that you were basically forced to cook crack and all this stuff to survive. I'm like, well, I don't hear this that often. I hear I used to be a waiter.
Right.
I hear I used to be a pizza boy. That's my story. But very rarely do we go from crackhead to you weren't a crackhead, but from cooking crack to making $1 million completely legitimately. That's and that's an amazing transformation, and it's amazing that you worked your way all the way from I'll sleep in my car, I'll get the laptop, to I'll take care of this old lady and I'll get a free place to live and then I'll get a job, to I'll get a client and I'll just do whatever I have to do to get them results.
Right.
And then I need more clients, and then I need to charge more, and all the way up to creating educational products. And I know that you teach people like, some online marketing and affiliate marketing. And I know a lot of people might not know what that is, but it's you've leveled up and you've got to the next category consistently. And again, that is what this is all about. It's thinking your way through level to level to level to level. And I think you're going to be at multi-millions soon, and I think you're going to be a big player in the game to go from where you are to where you are now.
And funny story about this watch, which is awesome, that this is exactly what we're talking about, just the mind, right? So there's something called the law of sacrifice. I'm pretty sure you know about that as well, right?
Well, maybe by a different name, but explain it to me.
All right, so I am sitting on this chair right here, okay? There's no way that I can, have Evelise come here and sit in this chair and I just automatically just disappear, right? I have to first get up off of this chair, move for her to then come and sit on this chair, right? That's law of sacrifice. You cannot have something in its current place and then put something else in that place. So one of my the people that work with me, I told him after our event last December, I told him, hey, you need to make $20,000. He was just like, I told him, like, you got to sacrifice something, find something to sacrifice. And, he thought about it, as humans, I didn't really take too much, or put too much pressure on him or thought too much about it. And one day he just messaged me like, I just deleted my Instagram. I just deleted all of my social media. And that was the way he was contacting with his ex, his Instagram. So it's super, it means something to him, right? He got rid of everything, and he said, you know, I'm not going to do anything at all social media related until I make $20,000. And I have to do it in a month, 30 days. And I told him, hey, you know, you do that, I'll go buy a Rolex, a blackface Rolex, just in your honor. And here it is. But it all started with his mind, because if he didn't believe it, that he can actually achieve it and actually take the actions necessary or make the sacrifices necessary to actually get it, would he have it? Would he have done it if he thought of all the, as you were saying, if he thought of all the negative things that he could have been thinking about, would he have taken those actions or those steps that would have made him
Well,
accomplish?
Steve Jobs said, "Focus is not about what you do; it's about what you don't do." You know,
All right.
and I think sacrifice is a big thing, because you know you're not going to get anywhere. People say, "Oh, you got to have a work-life balance." No, not really. No, I mean, if you want to make $1 million, you eventually you'll have a work-life balance, but on your way up, you're out of balance.
You want chaos.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just the way it is, you know.
Right.
And so I totally understand your point about, you know, ridding the distraction, making the sacrifice, because like, just to give you one example, when people say, I hear this all the time, well, I'm an introvert, Dan, I'm an introvert, I can't do that, I'm an introvert. Well, it's not that you're an introvert and you can't put yourself out there. It's that you have to you still have to sacrifice something. You have to sacrifice comfort. You have to sacrifice being comfortable to put yourself out there. And yeah, maybe somebody who's an extrovert, well, that person's an extrovert. Well, yeah, it just means that it's easier for them and they don't have to sacrifice that one particular thing, but they're definitely sacrificing something else.
Right.
Your particular situation is you have to sacrifice being comfortable. That's it. So like, it's not, you know, people tell themselves, they have these limiting beliefs all the time. They say, well, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an introvert, therefore I can't, you know, I have this situation, therefore this can't happen. And 99% of it, 100% of it is bullshit. You know, you can do it. You just have to sacrifice something.
Right.
So I really do appreciate that point. And we'll end the show with this. I want to hear your answer to this. What is it like for those out there who want to feel a bit inspired, and not that watches and stuff are how we should live our lives, but I just want to understand this. How does it feel to go from sleeping in your car, sleeping in an abandoned house with multiple people, to sitting here wearing a Rolex on your wrist? How, when you look back at that, how does it feel to go from one extreme to the other like that? How does that make you feel?
It's different. It's definitely something that, you know, every single day you wake up, you find other ways to push yourself and push yourself and push yourself, because, you know, knowing that, you know, you once, like, I used to sleep on park benches and inside of trains, stuff like that. And it's just a different feeling. Like, you cannot, I if I could give you words for it, I would, but just think of everything, you know, think of everything that you've ever wanted, everything that you've ever wanted. And then you having the ability to say, no, I don't really want that anymore. Right? Just because it's just like, all right, it's accessible. It's not a dream anymore. You know, I dreamt of having a Ferrari once. It's just like, okay, cool, I can buy one, but do I really want it? Right? So, like, being able to get to that location, you're going to realize that a lot of the things that you wanted in life, like, you don't have the need for it anymore. It's like a freeing feeling. Like, it feels like never having to go, like, you know how when you go to vacations, and then when you go to vacation, you can, like, literally do like, as a child, basically, right? You go on vacation with your parents, you can do anything that you want to do, whatever, sleep late at night, whatever time you want to wake up, or eat whatever you want to eat, like, watch whatever. It literally feels like that, because at that point, or this level, you can do whatever you want to do. Whatever you don't want to do, you don't have to do it. It's just, it's freeing. It's a life of freedom, right? And I definitely, I'm one of those people, you talk to me a million times, I would always tell you, you know, chase freedom instead of security, right? Security could only go get you so far, but that freedom, right? It will take you places that you will never imagine. And the only way to get to that freedom is if you make up your mind and decide to get it.
And I think sometimes you realize that what you really wanted the whole time was not the car or the watch or this. It was simply the ability to get it.
Yeah, like literally, I'm like an extremist sometimes, right?
Oh, well, you're an entrepreneur. We all are. What do you mean? We're all extremists. We're crazy sons of bitches. We're very abnormal people.
So I literally got a box of, you know, Count Chocolate. I'm not sure if you know about that cereal.
I'm white, but yes, I know about Count Chocula. I understand that. Yes, I know that cereal.
Right. So the thing is that they only come out with it on Halloween.
Okay.
Right? So I like growing up, that was always my favorite cereal. So the thing is just like, you know, I always wanted it. And then last year I had Evelise go pick me up 80 boxes.
80 boxes.
Of Count Chocula. Asked me how many of them I actually ate. Probably like 5-6 boxes, but it was just more knowing that I can have it.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
that.
Well, at least you can afford the insulin. You know, when you get diabetes. Cool, man. That's awesome, brother. So what's your social channels? Where can people check you out and learn more from you?
Junior Anthony Live, Instagram, Junior Anthony on Facebook. I believe that's it.
Okay.
TikTok,
so like at
Junior Anthony Live.
Okay. Cool. All right, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Man, Dan, you're amazing.
Oh man, you're amazing, man. You freaking the crack house to the penthouse. You know, that should be your slogan, right? But the homeless to $1 million business is that's incredible. You know, like I think I had an amazing transformation, but I was never homeless. You know,
Right. But again, you know, I have to give credit where credit is due. There's certain people that you know, had major roles in my personal success story. You're definitely one of them, Russell Brunson. But like, if it wasn't for like, again, like for the things that you've done, right, and you've done it for free, technically speaking. I'm not sure if you noticed it.
a lot of it is free, yeah.
But again, like other people haven't noticed it. Like all the answers are literally in front of their faces, and you know, it's either you're gonna take it and go with it and make something happen, or you're not. You know. So.
Yeah. Well, I would love to get you to be a guest instructor on howtothink.com.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be awesome if we could get something on there with you. And by the way, I always do these shows and then I forget to promote my own stuff. But if you're interested to get daily success mentoring, you can go to howtothink.com and sign up, and you'll get a daily success mentoring audio from me on the How to Think app. And we also have a business mentoring option that you can upgrade to, where you also get a major business mentoring session each and every week. So you can go to howtothink.com and sign up. And also don't forget to subscribe to the show, give us a review, all that. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, Junior.
Awesome.